Hi class, today we are going to do a very interesting story from our Vistas. Before we begin the story, let me ask you a question. What's your favorite pastime or hobby? No wonder that you must be missing playing in open places with your friends at school and playgrounds. Do you know, children, that hobbies keep on changing with the changes in society? Just as stamp collecting was very popular in the beginning of the 20th century, which is now replaced by the online games and science fiction due to the new normal. Science fiction games, when we talk about it, the science fiction games and movies often make use of time machines and time portals to transport the characters to past or future. Just imagine that if you would ever get a chance to ride a time machine or break through the time portal, where will you like to travel? Will it be to the time of dinosaurs, or would you like to see how prehistoric man looked, or will it be traveling to the age of robotics or to some alien planets? Think of it. So, Jack Finney, the author of The Third Level, was an American writer who excelled in writing literature of science fiction. His famous works include The Body Snatchers and Time and Again. These famous novels became the basis of famous Hollywood movies, in fact. Finney used the theme of time travel and travel to the past, which has been used in our short story that we are going to have today. The third level is going to make an interesting tale for us. Now, let's think, why do short stories appeal so much to us than the bigger novel kind of books? We like short stories a lot. Why is it so? It is because short stories seem to have something new in it that is very deep in our own nature. During its time of narration, a short story creates a special atmosphere where sense of our own experience is extrapolated. The Third Level by Jack Finney is set in New York of 1950s. It was a time when the world had already witnessed two world wars. These devastating wars had irreversible bad consequences on people. They had become more anxious. People had become more anxious, more fearful, and tended to escape this grim reality by various means. The story has three characters: Charlie, the narrator, a representative of a modern man, and his loving and caring wife Loisa, and the third character is Sam, Charlie's psychiatrist friend. One can say that time is the main character in the story. The story begins in a mock serious tone when Charlie narrates a strange incident in a sarcastic tone. One fateful evening, after working late at his office, he hurried and decided to take the subway to the Grand Central Station. After crossing the first and second level, Charlie felt that he was lost as he crossed the arched doorway which led to a lonely subway. In fact, he feels that the ground of the Grand Central Station has become like a tree which keeps on growing new corridors and stairs. In order to search for the train that would take him home, Charlie walks down a corridor, hearing the empty sounds of only his own footsteps. He finds that he had reached an architecturally an old station which was completely different from the first and second level of the Grand Central. In fact, the Grand Central station has only two levels, but now Charlie feels that he is walking through a third level. The station seemed smaller. It had few ticket counters and wooden information booths. People were dressed in old fashioned outfits. And the brass petons, which were no longer seen in modern times, was seen there. When Charlie saw flickering open gas lights, he realized he had traveled back in olden times. To double the reality, he goes towards the boy selling newspaper. Then he finds the newspaper World being sold there and was dated June 11, 1894. And it carried news about the President Cleveland. You talk about President Cleveland, he was serving his second term as American president during 1893 to 1897. So Charlie immediately proceeded to the ticket counter as he wanted to buy two tickets for Gilsburg, a place where he had grown up as a schoolboy. He wished to return to this peaceful place along with his wife. However, he could not get the return tickets. When he approached the booth, he wanted to get the tickets to Gilsburg, and in his mind he thought that he wished that he could go home and bring his wife also to this place. But at the time, as the currency he gave was not accepted by the clerk because it was very much past in times. In fact, has to make a hasty retreat on getting threatened of cheating because he had money which was not of their own times. Then Charlie finds a way back home. The very next day, Charlie withdraws $300 from his bank and $200 as old style bills. This old behaviors of Charlie worries his friend Sam, who is a psychiatrist. Sam actually does not believe in Charlie's ideas. Charlie actually thinks that he wants to return to the third level by boarding a train that would take him again to Gilsburg. But unfortunately, he was not able to find the third level again even after collecting the $300 and $200 old style bills and all. He searches for the third level again and again in the Grand Central Station, which he could not find except for the first and second levels. When Charlie shares all these experiences with his wife Loisa, she gets pretty worried, and in fact, she dissuades him to think further for the third level. So, Charlie then stops his search for the third level and resumes his routine of stamp collection. Life goes on very smoothly. Suddenly, the life of Charlie once again takes a shift when he says that he and his wife have started the search of third level together in the weekends. What made them do this? They have begun this again as they have found the proof of the existence of third level. It was Sam's disappearance that made them believe the existence of the third level this time. Charlie recalls how they started believing the existence of the third level. One day he found a first day cover of a stamp collection. It carried his grandfather's address in Gilsburg. It had a letter inside it written by Sam, dated July 18, 1894, and had a 6-cent stamp on the cover which bore the picture of President Garfield. Sam confirms the presence of the third level in his letter and invites both Charlie and Loisa to join him at Gilsburg. He advises them to continue their search for the third level till they find it and meet him at Gilsburg. He urges them to continue and search the third level and pick up a train and reach Gilsburg. So, what is understood is Sam, as a very lovable friend of Charlie, has put himself into experimenting whether there's a third level or it's just the imagination of his friend, had found the third level with the olden days monies and bills and have reached it. Now, the thing is, what is understood is there is the existence of a third level, and it has taken as the time portal to reach the past, and there's a person who has reached it. It is Sam, and the proof is that there's a letter from Sam which carries the olden days stamps and the money and the picture of the President Garfield on it, and all, or the proofs of the existence of third level. Third level and going to the past, and a person and a letter from a person who lives in the past. So here we come to the end of the lesson. It is like the author has not said us whether Charlie and his wife reached the third level, found the third level and reached the past, but there is a sudden there's a sudden twist in the story that Sam has reached found the third level and reached the past. Now, the theme of the lesson is the story explores the science fiction genre of time level. Jack Finney interweaves fantasy with the reality while crafting a time travel story. Charlie, the central character, is a highly imaginative character who indulges in flight of fancy. At the same time, he is a true representative of modern man who remains anxious and stressed as the world has seen 2 world wars. So Charlie wishes to be transported to the third level, the world of 1894, which was a much happier and quieter place. The story also deals with the theme of escapism. This acts not only as a psychological refuge from the grim present, but also as a desire to stay with the past. So these are the themes. A short summary of the themes. Now let's come to the conclusion of the lesson. One can say that Jack Finney treats time in a very novel manner. The third level becomes a point where the past and present meet. One fine day, Charlie loses his way only to discover the third level of the Grand Central Station of New York. He realizes that he had reached the year 1894. It is the period Charlie would want to be in. He wants to travel to Galesburg, a peaceful town where he had spent his childhood, a place where people enjoyed life away from anxiety of wars. Even Sam has a desire to escape from stressful modern life, but still Sam is a little worried about his friend's fantasy and imagination. So Sam even succeeds in crossing time and reaches this utopia where people listen music and enjoyed community life. So Jack Finney leaves the story open-ended for the readers to wonder what the third level really is. Charlie finds proof of its existence and is able to move back and forth in time, and his friend has already reached there. The author successfully transports us to a mysterious world where desires and reality so strongly intertwine that is difficult to separate them. So here is the conclusion of the lesson, children. You can pause the video in between to read the summary and conclusion or the theme. Go read the book once again to get a clear understanding of how the writer had given us the lesson. This is my way of help to you to understand the lesson in a better way with the background and intentions, themes of the lesson, structure of the lesson. So thank you. Bye.